We're doing that today is by providing an open publishing platform for anybody to create second screen experiences for viewers and audiences as they watch TV. So let me give you guys a little bit of background on our company and kind of how we got to this mission today. So when we first started, we noticed this trend happening in the living room, and I'm sure all of you guys can relate to what's going on here. The way that people used to watch television was they would sit around and you would stare at the TV screen, and that just isn't how people watch TV today. Today we have our laptops in front of us, we have our iPhones in our pockets, we have our tablets on our coffee tables. And so we're multitasking and doing all these other activities at the same time that we watch TV. And I think someone actually had this stat on a slide earlier, but Nielsen reports that 40% of people are doing this on a daily basis, which is huge, on both their smartphone and on their tablets. So the opportunity for us was, how can we provide a place where people who are already engaging on these second screen devices can go and get all the information that they're looking for while they watch TV. So we kind of asked ourselves, well, what are people doing while they watch TV? And the answer is they're really doing all kinds of things, right? You're checking your email, you're updating your Facebook status, but you're also really curious about what it is that you're watching. So we find that a lot of the activities that people are doing are actually related to the content that they're watching on the first screen. Whether it's looking up information about an actor on IMDb or posting a reaction to a moment that happened on Twitter and adding a hashtag. That all of these activities, many of them relate to what you're watching. So we took this, and our vision really has been, over the last 2 years, to make TV watching more useful, more social, and more fun. And as I mentioned, we launched 2 years ago, and when we first started thinking about this space, we wanted to provide an engaging second screen experience for the entire time you're watching TV. So from the start all the way through to the end. But the first thing we needed to know before we could provide that was, what are you watching? And so back then we saw what services were doing in the location-based world, like Foursquare, and we borrowed this idea of checking in, and we applied it to TV. So the first version of our app, which launched 2 years ago, was basically ask the question, you opened it up and said, what are you watching? And you got to search for the show you were watching, and you check in. And one of the first things we explored around that, which is similar to Foursquare, was how can we make this more fun? So we provided badges and points and leaderboards so people could show off their fan status by sharing what they're watching on TV. And in the subsequent year, we then extended that to kind of think about, well, what else can we do after you've checked in and you share what you watched? So what are all the fun experiences that we can offer from the entire time that you're watching the show? So some of the things that we looked at were, we experimented with real-time chatting. So you can go into the show you're watching and engage with other fans and some of your friends who are watching that show and kind of talk about it. We've also experimented with sharing your reaction through polls. So you could answer a question and kind of share out what, maybe it was a contestant on American Idol and you wanted to say whether you thought they sung well or not. So we've done that. We've asked our users to rate and review episodes, and they enjoyed doing that. And one of the things that we found that was really compelling was we started to deliver information to people while they were watching TV. So this could be anything from trivia about the actor to more historical reference about something happening, or just a funny fact extending a joke that happened on the first screen. And so what this led us to, through all of these different kind of experimentations and features that we put into our product, we came out with two major takeaways around what the second screen was going to be. And so the first one was that, and this should be pretty obvious, there's no one size fits all. And I think you guys can imagine today, you think of different genres of television. What you want on a second screen is going to be different when you're watching, say, American Idol, and you want to react to, a terrible performance, versus we're watching Dexter, and it was a really intense murder scene, and you want to talk to someone about what happened, versus comedy and sports. You're going to want a different experience for all of these genres. The interesting thing is, if you go even one level deeper at the show level, even within that, you want different things depending on the show you're watching. So for Glee, you might want to learn more about the music. For Mad Men, you might want to understand the historical references. Or for Gossip Girl, you might want more information about the fashion, like where can I buy that dress? So even one more level beyond that is it's very personalized everybody wants something different. So I might be really interested in getting gossip information, while someone else might just care about the actual characters in the show, and they want to understand more about the plot and more about that character. So what we really found was there's no silver bullet solution that we could just take and put on a second screen and have it work for every show out there. So that was our first major learning. The second thing that we kind of discovered was that, and this is obvious probably to a lot of you storytellers in the room, is that TV is essentially an art form. There's a team of writers that come together to create this story. They think about the plot. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end to every story. And within that, there's even arcs within the season or the series. So in addition to that, there's also so much that goes into producing a television series, from the staging to the videography to editing. Literally millions of dollars are spent to produce a single episode of a TV show. So we thought, wow, this is really interesting. A lot of people are trying all these things on the second screen, but what if the second screen was as highly produced and as creative as the first screen? And we really believe that that's what's going to create the most compelling experience. So from these two learnings, we've launched in the last fall, we've launched a new product. This product is something that we're calling a sideshow. And sideshows are interactive content experiences that play on your second screen device while you watch TV. So to tell you a little bit more about sideshows. Sideshows are created from an open publishing platform, and anybody can create a sideshow. So you can imagine, just like you go and you create a blog, whether it's on Tumblr or WordPress, we have an online publishing form that lets you go and create content and turn that into your own second screen experience for any show out there that you want. We deliver this content at synchronized moments. So this works whether you're watching live or DVR, because every piece of content is timestamped to a moment that corresponds to the show. So your audience that you're creating these sideshows and these stories for are getting that piece of information at the exact relevant moment that they watch TV. And like I said, anyone in this room, any of you can create a sideshow. So not only do we work today with networks who love to do this, they are creating their own apps as well as using ours. Brands can do this, celebrities can do this, but anyone, a fan of the show, can create a sideshow for any episode of the show that you like. So I'm going to show you some quick examples of some things that people have done in sideshows. This first one is a tweet from Conan O'Brien, and this was something that he tweeted during the Super Bowl. So a fan was able to grab this tweet and tag it to a moment. It's a funny tweet about the Patriots. You can also use the same format to type up quotes that characters have said. People love to share these quotes. You look on Twitter, they're already typing it into Twitter and sharing on Facebook. So we make it really easy for the viewer to see that quote, and they can share it with their friends and enjoy that experience. Another example I already mentioned is fashion, reference to a clothing item or an accessory, really anything that you see on a show, and maybe you're interested in getting more information about it. And by the way, as a storyteller and as someone who does this as a living, we are thinking of ways that you can monetize your creation of sideshows through affiliate links such as this. A few more examples. I think we can all relate to the guest star. You're watching your favorite show and there's a new actor. You're like, who is that person? I totally recognize them, but I just can't put my finger on it. So this is a very popular thing that our producers, our sideshow producers, put into sideshows. There's also an element of interactivity. Not only can you comment and have conversations around all these sideshow cards, which are the individual pieces of content, but you can also create polls for your audience and get their reaction around specific moments that happen on TV, which is very compelling. And we found that our users and the audiences love to react and share because it's so easy for them. They don't have to think of something to type in Twitter. They just select their reaction and they can share their opinion with their friends. Music, I also mentioned, is an example from Glee. You can provide references to the songs that you hear in the background. It's, oh, what song is that? And you try to get Shazam out and it doesn't happen in time and you're lost and you don't get that song. So with Miso Sideshows, that's another example of cool content. And then of course there's unique content for your shows, like I mentioned, whether it's Mad Men and you want historical references on, you know, what was that ad campaign, did that really happen in the 60s? And I have some other examples that I can show you guys as well, but really what we believe is that people who are the fans of the show, they're the ones that are going to be the most creative and have the best ideas for what content to put into a sideshow. And that's why we created a platform for you guys to do that, rather than us just deciding what content we think is best. So here's just some quick examples of some networks that we've worked with. We launched with Showtime's Dexter, and we've had sideshows for that. And today, if you download our free app on the iPhone, just search for MISO, you can go in and look at any of these examples, and you can go probably to any of your shows that are on today and check out a sideshow for that. And real quick, I just want to show you, this is an example of what our online publishing tool looks like today. This is in beta, and this is actually our very first version. You can see you put a timestamp at the moment that you want your content to appear. We have some layout choices. We let you select an image, and in this case, it's a quote. That's the template, so you can put in the quote and who said it. What we're doing is, if you're familiar with tools like Storify or Polyvore, we're evolving our tool to be very much more like a WYSIWYG, where you can drag and drop and curate information. And our goal is to make this the easiest way for you to curate content and publish second screen content. It literally takes less than 30 seconds to create a card like this, and you can immediately publish it, and it's live for your audience at that moment. One more thing that I just want to mention is, because we're a platform, we really want to we want to take the sideshows that our producers create and power them everywhere. So not just in our own app. Today we have an iPhone app, and we're also have sideshows available on the web. But we want any networks, any brands, cable providers to be able to take our iOS SDK or our APIs and put sideshows into their product. So we're offering the platform and the technology to build the second screen experiences, and we're going to provide, similarly, the opportunity for anybody to put a sideshow anywhere. Including producers can promote their own sideshows in the way that you might promote a YouTube video. So we'll have an embeddable link that you can put in any site, any blog that you moderate, pretty much anywhere on the web. And I'll just to end it, I'll give you a little information about our company. Like I said, we've been around for 2 years. We're funded by First Interactive Media, Google Ventures, and Coastal Ventures. We have about just 15 full-time employees, and we are based here in Soma, San Francisco.
Questions for Katie, for MISO, and then we'll start our panel.
What data tools can you use to track sending off of the sideshows, comments, generated hashtag, what the way we put entries to get reaction?
Yes, we do. So we use our own internal system for tracking all the analytics. We measure everything that happens in a sideshow. So whether someone's viewed the card, if they've liked it, if they've commented on it, if they've shared it to Facebook and Twitter, and we can analyze the content within the comments that they produce. So we actually make this data available to our producers for free. So just by producing a sideshow, you're going to have a dashboard online that you can go and track, just like you would a blog post on WordPress. You can look by the day, what on Tuesday, what was my most popular sideshow? Where did I have the most views? And you can learn over time, specifically at the card level, what content was most popular. So you can cultivate your audience and start to understand more about what content and what information they respond to the most. Today we're just measuring it with we have a complete analytics backend implementation, and all of this data is stored on our servers. So
shared from your site.
Yes, exactly.
How do you synchronize with the broadcasts?
That's a good question. Actually, I'm kind of prepared for this. Let me show. I have a bunch of slides here from other. Okay. So how does it work? Today we have integrations with two cable providers. One is DirecTV, or two television providers. One is DirecTV and one is AT&T Uverse. So we can automatically detect if these are connected to your home network, and the phone will recognize them and synchronize up with them. So once it synchronizes,